Hello and welcome to Center for Victory's podcast of your best day yet. At Center for Victory, we're here to help unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through personal and professional development. I am Eric Guy, Chief Victory Officer here at the Center for Victory. Well, today I have a very lovely guest who is my wife. Everybody has wanted her on this show because inquiring minds want to know Miss Tammy. They want to know a lot of things. Couple things, how we work together, how we've done that, how, some of the things that we've done with our family, with our kids, uh, just the things that we just do, how we set goals, how we, a lot of people ask, I don't think you believe me sometimes when I tell you how many people ask me. I mean, I just got done today talking to people and they were asking me how you're doing. And, they want to know, the thing that we're going to do today is, our trip through the canyon and what that meant to us. But they were asking me basically, how did you guys do it? How did you prepare for it? All that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of cool things that went through that. So first, welcome and thank you.
Thanks for having me.
I'll have to say that that Tammy does not prefer to be on camera, but uh, those of you that know your workers who work behind the scenes, they do a lot, and a lot of times, they don't get recognized for it. But you are the backbone of this company. I mean, you run it. I jokingly call you boss, but there's a little bit of truth to that. So, babe, we're going to talk about what a lot of people ask us. And again, like I said, somebody just asked me this morning before I came in here, what it was like for us to go through the Grand Canyon. So those of you that follow what we do or follow me on any kind of social media or anything like that, one of the things that we like to do is we like to go and have these adventures. And one of the things that we're going to do at Center for Victory this year, along with our now chief adventure officer, Caleb Kolb, is go out and have these adventures to different places while we're talking about leadership, while we're talking about life, while we're talking about, just everything in general. And, I had the ability last year and to go climb Fuji before you and I went to the Grand Canyon. But there was a lot of prep up to that. I mean, you obviously helped me for Fuji because it was before that, and then we decided to go to the Grand Canyon together and walk. And for those of you that don't know what that's like, I mean, you do it in one day. It's 25 miles. I think if I've got my math right, it's is it 6,000 down, 8,000 up, something like that, or vice versa. Um, you go in, we started lamps on our head and we ended
Yes,
with
we did.
lamps on our head.
Yes, we did.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Yep.
But it is difficult.
It was challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Physically and mentally.
Yeah. What was difficult mentally for you? I mean, I know we shared a lot of this. I'm just asking so people will know.
I think mentally, for me, it was challenging heading into it. Like before we even started, it was just intimidating to think about and to prepare for. And I'm a planner, so I didn't know what to expect. So in that sense, it was mentally intimidating, I guess, more or less, heading in. Did we prepare enough? Do we have what we need? I was concerned about the temperature because it was over 120 degrees. That was challenging for me. And I wasn't sure how my body was going to respond to that because we live in Pennsylvania, so we can't prepare for that. I have a plethora of health issues that I've dealt with throughout my life. So I was concerned about how my body was going to respond to that type of environment. And it's a long way. It's not a straight walk. It's a hike, and I wasn't quite sure how I would handle that. So my mental difficulty was really heading into it. It was a mental game for me, just preparing myself that I could do it and being confident in that before we even started. Um,
Yeah, and I know that you don't like to talk about it, but it is very inspiring to people, especially people that are thinking about doing something like this and say, "Well, I can't go, or I'm too old, or I don't have this." You know, we just had a guest on that was actually the podcast this
yeah,
week, and she climbed Machu Picchu with
she was
in
very inspiring.
crutches,
Yeah,
and,
incredible,
and
incredible.
yeah, no excuses from her.
No,
Uh, and very determined young lady, was very
yeah.
inspiring. So I think I know you don't like talking about it, but I want to talk about it because it's very inspiring to other people. So go back, because I tell the story a little bit different, because your health challenges started when we were really young.
Yes.
So we got married.
Surprise.
We got married at when we were 22,
We
very
did.
young, and had some difficulty having our first child.
We
Was
did.
ended up having him, right, Josiah, and then then it was not hard at all. I mean, you just became pregnant right away, but in the midst of that, you ended up having a stroke. Now, my recollection of the one that I recommend was the one where you had the stroke when you were teaching school.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I can remember holding our son, who was, about a year old at the time,
Yeah, he
give
was
or
here.
take a couple months, and you not being able to feel anything, full left side paralysis, and seeing you getting put in the back of the ambulance, knowing that I had to take care of him and couldn't go with you.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and that changed our life.
It did change our lives. Not it, I mean, we look back at it now and it shaped us into who we are and what we do. I mean, so I feel like God uses everything for good and he did in that circumstance. Um, but it was certainly life-changing because I was 26 years old and had a stroke when I was pregnant with my daughter, Faith. And we were only 15 weeks along with her.
So I think this is the side that people want to see, Tam. And I know you don't want to be vulnerable, but this is why we take people through the things that we take them through. Um, because you can overcome. We're overcomers. We had to band together. We lost everything, but we still had each other. And what was cool about that was listening to all the naysayers, especially early on, the doctors that said, "Hey, look,
Yeah.
I'm not sure about this pregnancy. Da, 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 this is gonna, prepare for the worst," and just not believing in all that. But why that story is so important is because that's everything that we do. Because I just immediately jumped into a lot of different things about how the body heals itself.
Correct. I mean, that was life-changing for us, was looking at everything differently, not
Yeah.
necessarily looking at it from I mean, I had wonderful specialists that we worked with, and then I had some not so wonderful specialists that we worked with throughout all that time, and,
Yeah, one
um,
almost got the clarity tool.
he did. He did.
You had to actually, I remember
Sometimes
you
I
had
have to ask Eric to leave the room, yeah, when we're in situations because he is protective, which I appreciate,
yeah,
but, we've learned that, sometimes it's best to let me handle it.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I've had 2 strokes.
Mhm.
After that, I had multiple seizures. I struggled with multiple seizures a day for years, medicine cocktail for all kinds of things, for a very long time, pretty good heart arrhythmia, all kinds of fun things, and some people probably that are listening that know us probably have no idea because, I don't share it often. And, just it's not something I wanna wear on my sleeve because I'm an overcomer.
Mhm.
I don't think that way anymore. We really had to change my thought process through the whole thing, and that's when we were talking about your body heals itself, and we really had to change how I how I handled it each day, how I woke up in the morning, where was my mind when I woke up in the morning. And it was a journey. It's been a long journey. So
Yeah, and here we are. I mean, we like I know most people don't want to be with their spouse during the day. You know, they're like, "How do you guys do it?" I mean, I enjoy that. That's that kind of is my comfort. Even when I was out, lecturing and everything, when we were younger, uh, it was like I was always in a hurry to get back. And now that we're into this, and we just we have this office that we get to work in, we it's on our property now. We made that decision 6 years ago to bring it back, and which was smart. But it was just it's really neat to be in there. And I'm not saying we don't have challenges or issues, but we everything that we teach people, we attempt to do.
we do.
Not always perfect, but we do attempt to do. um, and if it wasn't for that incident, I mean, it really pushed me into trying to figure things out.
Right.
Now, I will say, in the midst of all that, you still completed your master's degree with a 4.0. Uh, while you were going through that, we moved up to the compound, right?
we
That
we did.
so the compound, it's is a loving concept. If you knew my in-laws, I mean, I married into a family where he was the last of 11. He was the youngest of 11, and I was embraced by the Brown family,
You
and
were.
have much love for all of them. They're all around here, but I lovingly say that it's the compound. It's not the bad ones, like
Okay.
but
No, our
we
family
moved
just
there,
lives close together.
and the intent was to get you healed up.
Right.
Yeah, and I was telling the story today. Somebody asked, they were asking me today on a different podcast that I was a guest on. They were saying, how did you come about that this is something that you wanted to do? I said the intent was always to serve. We've always had the
Right.
intent to serve.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if you remember this. I just wanted to stay under the radar when we came up here. I'm like, I don't want, I even told God my plans, just like, let me just work. I don't want anything, like I don't want to be out in front. I don't want, and then within a year, find myself quitting my job and lecturing. That was nationally. Then it went like
Right. Right.
global, and it's like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Um, but that whole thing with with your health, and how you've overcome that. I mean, you could still, guess for lack of a better term, be on the couch, popping pills. I mean, there was a time you were on a lot of medication.
Yes. I really honestly had a hard time getting off the couch.
Yeah.
It was heavily meted.
Um,
Absolutely. So it was a very challenging time. And to take care of two little ones that are only 18 months apart, and that journey with them, and not alarming them.
mhm.
They had no idea what was going on.
And this lady homeschooled them. I mean,
Cyber school.
the
Yes.
cyber school, but they were
Yes.
still at home, babe. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that is difficult to keep them, and and they were better off for that because they excelled. I mean,
They did.
our youngest, who they said, well, we don't know how this pregnancy is going to turn out, ended up graduating high school at 16 and
Mhm.
wasn't even legal when she graduated college. Uh,
Yeah.
they're both working. They're both great kids. I know I'm a little biased, but I love them to death.
They're
And
special. Their hearts are special.
and it's given, they've gone on trips with me. My point is, it's opened up the door. We'll get back to the canyon.
Yeah.
It's opened up the door for us to have and go and do these things, and along the way, it's built up to these bigger adventures. I mean,
It has. It has.
Faith got to go with me when she was 10 out to Zion.
Yes.
You know,
Oh, the kids have been all over the world.
yeah,
Literally have been all over the world
yeah.
on adventures. And
Side of Africa. His first
right.
trip, he was 10 years old. He went to
Yep.
South America with
Yeah.
me.
I think it was our decision early. I mean, truly the stroke was a decision gate for us. Like it changed how we look at life, how we approach things, and we wanted the kids to have experiences and not necessarily things. So we started like Christmas, we'd give them experiences instead of like a lot of gifts and things like that. Like that was a turning point for us because we want them to experience life, you know. Like I can't imagine if, you know, my life was cut short at that point.
Yeah, but here we
So
are. Um, Here we are. I mean, we are, we've gotten through that. And again, a lot of the things I think people just see what's going on now. They don't, I really get upset sometimes when people say, oh, well, you don't know what it's like. Well, yeah, I do. Like I was, you know, driving that little kid, Josiah, when he's 1 years old, following that
yeah,
ambulance, trying to figure out what the heck was going on and how my life just got upended, how my marriage just got upended, what we were going to do with the kids, what it meant for that you were pregnant. And at that point, we didn't have anything to do. That is seared in my mind. I can tell you where that thing was parked. I can tell you where I was standing. I can go back to that day. Um, and it really set the tone too, because then I got sick in
right,
in fort
right.
in 14. And a lot of the things that we talk about with people, that helps. But
True.
yeah, and so we have all those experiences. We build on those. It's created our company. A lot of the things that we learned, we help people with,
Absolutely.
right? But- and I think why I wanted you to tell that story is just it's inspiring. But I think the other reason I wanted to tell you is a lot of people have stories and some just let it linger, meaning they just keep telling it over and over and over and over and over again.
Right.
And they become that illness or sickness or disease or malfunction or mental illness. And you don't have to stay that way.
No.
And you are a fantastic example of that, because I know it was difficult. I mean, there was pain, there was the seizures, and there was the numbness, and all that stuff. And
A lot of
then
fear.
yeah, then
It creates a lot of fear that
yeah,
I had to learn to step into
yeah,
actually
just
and
like the
not run away
canyon.
from. And the canyon is part of that. I mean, that was it for me. It was like, oh boy, I mean, I feel fantastic. I haven't been on I'm on no medications at all. I take my vitamins and, you know, so on, but I mean, no medications for the past almost probably about 5.5 years. I haven't been on any medications and I'm in great health. Everything is healthy at this
Mhm.
time and I feel fantastic. And mentally I feel fantastic. But then there's that little, you know, reminder of, well, Tammy, you were very unhealthy,
Mhm.
you know. And of course, when I have to put in my medical background on any form, it's a panic for me. I just get very uncomfortable. And I had to do that. Obviously, with the canyon, you have to kind of explain, you know, your health because you don't want to walk into it not healthy.
Yeah.
It's a quite an undertaking. And you know, and talking to the guides about that, you know, they had a special little eye on me.
Kristen and Kevin were great with
Oh,
that from me too. I mean,
fabulous.
Kristen, how she
Fabulous.
spent time on the phone before we even got there talking to you,
Yes, yeah,
understanding it.
understand. She wanted to understand. And gave me tips on things to, you know, think through and to be prepared for heading into that, especially the temperature. It was a huge thing for me, you know,
Hmm.
with my health. And I mean, we exercise every day, you know, that's something that's part of our life. We eat healthy, I sleep well, you know, I really balance is huge for me to stay healthy. But, you know, temperature can't practice for that one. So I was worried about that one quite a bit. And I mean, we did train. I actually said if I did it again, I would train even harder. I
Yeah.
think I need to train harder, but you know, you learn as you go, and it was a journey.
Yeah, so talk about that. What led up to that? Because you talk about the mental and the physical, right?
Yeah.
And mental for me, um, I had just gone through Fuji,
Yes.
right? So I was kind of over if I could do something like that or not. I knew I
Yeah.
could do it. My mental didn't hit until it was like that oh crap moment right before we're dipping down into the canyon. I'm like, I brought her here. I need to get her back out.
Right.
And again, some of that's my issue. That's being protective.
You are protective. Yes.
Um, the other thing is like, did I push too hard? Because every once in a while I have a tendency to do that.
Really. Really.
But
Mhm.
that was the mental piece for me. And then I think it cleared up because I enjoyed, we were just together all day, and there
We
was,
were.
and we had fantastic people. I mean,
Oh, we met some wonderful people in the canyon. We had a
unbelievable.
wonderful group. We were very blessed by that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's there's no cell service in the canyon, so
No.
there's nothing to distract you. You're just talking, you're sharing life, you're around all this beauty. And I think the
Yeah.
joke today when I was talking to somebody, it was like, I was just bouncing all around. I was like, hey, look at this, hey, look at this, hey, look at this. It was just it just you want to stop and take a picture of everything. You're probably not going to
Yeah.
remember where you took it from, but it's a wow. Like it just keeps every corner is wow,
Oh, it's
wow,
stunning.
wow.
It is beautiful. It really is. And it's surprising. I think as you go through the canyon, you see different things, and it's just gorgeous. And it's funny, I think, I always have an earbud in my ear. When I work all day long, I have an earbud in. I always have my music going, and I like that internal positivity, always. And in the canyon, I never put my earphones in at all. Like I just listening to the sounds of the canyon and the people around you, and I just wanted to be present and take it all in and enjoy it. And I've never put it in the whole entire time through. Um, it was a really cool experience.
Yeah, and I think I was good mentally. I was saying I was good mentally until we got to the 3 Mile House
Yeah.
because I had a bunch of energy. And one of our friends and guide, Caleb, I was all jacked up. I mean, I'm pumped. I was calling the kids because you can finally get self service there.
Yeah.
I'm calling people, because we're taking a break. I'm like, no sweat. 3 miles, heck, we do that. Like I'm
Yeah.
thinking at the most 20 minutes a mile, maybe, right?
Yeah.
It was more like
Hours. Hours.
an hour a
Plural.
mile.
Yeah, it
It,
was rough at the end. And I have to say, I'm really big. I tell the kids or kids all the time, I'm like, since they were little, I'm like, you need to have those internal pep talks with yourself. You really have to cheer yourself on in your mind when you start getting fearful or overwhelmed. And you're like, I can do this. Like, I can handle this. I'm prepared, and you start talking that positivity into your mind. And I needed that the last 3 miles up because my body did start to really give me a hard time.
yeah.
And it's funny because my reaction to that surprised me because my heart rate, I had a really hard time with my heart rate. We couldn't keep my heart rate down in those last 3 miles. We'd walk, I don't even know, 100 feet and have to sit back down and let my heart calm down because my chest hurt. Like my heart was really
Mhm.
giving me a rough time. But it was amazing to me that I actually got mad. Like it made me angry that I was having trouble with my health because I've worked so hard for so many years, to be strong and to be healthy and to do the best I can for my body. And I started those second guessing things, all that negativity of, why did you do this? Are you hurting yourself? I want to be there for my kids, for my family. And it was a weird mental game for me the last 3 miles, just remembering, Tammy, you internal pep talk, like you tell the kids to do this all the time. You need to be speaking differently and not allow yourself to get fearful. And, I needed to get out of the canyon. So I needed to stay positive. And I don't, I mean, a lot of you know Eric, but not the way I know Eric. So we're a team. Like there was no doubt in my mind that he wouldn't be right beside me the whole way through canyon and anything else. So, he was very patient with me and
which
I
doesn't
mean,
come naturally.
doesn't. No, and like he knows my head trash, so he was speaking, that life into me as well. And really that's the key to how we work together.
Mhm.
That's the key to our life together is I trust him 100 zillion percent. Like I absolutely know that he's got my back all the time and I know that he has my best interest at heart.
Yeah, I think I remember back to when
Always.
you were having the phone interview with Kristen about your health and everything, and she said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, what she say to you about me leaving?"
She said, "Would you be going ahead of me?" Because you kind of break up into little groups. You have a really fast group, and you have a middle group, and you have a group that's a little bit
Mhm.
slower in their journey. And I said, "Well, Eric's going to be by my side." And she's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, he will not leave my side. There's no doubt in my mind that Eric will be with me the whole way through. So we'll be okay. Like he'll be watching me. I'm not going to be alone. I never feel alone. Um,
Yeah, and I wouldn't have missed that experience because I have been on other trips where
right.
the couples will split up, and I just can't fathom. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it. I just can't do it. Like
No.
I want to go through that. I remember some of the walking across a couple bridges down there, just stopping to literally smell the roses, not roses, but the flowers and everything.
Mhm.
It just just all those things, right? And then having the phone call. So once you have cell service after that 3 Mile House, even Kevin or that owns K2, he's checking in with me probably
Yeah.
3 times during those 3 miles.
Yeah.
How you guys doing? How's Tim? I got a pizza for you. Uh, so he's
Yes.
motivating me on that end.
Yeah.
But that whole thing, there was the preparation for it. You mentioned that, we got to, we exercise every day, but for the preparation for that was amazing to me because before we even started our day in the office here, we got to go out and walk. I was
A lot of walking.
a lot of walking. I mean, some days it was a quick 3 miles. Other way, okay, well, let's do
Like 40
4.
miles a week.
Yeah, let's do
Minimum.
5. Let's do
Yeah.
let's go. 2 miles around the park. And what was cool about that, again, we're together doing it,
Yeah.
right? We're talking about our day. Sometimes we're not talking. Some just walking, close together. Uh, we made a lot of friends
We did make a
too.
lot of friends. Yes, we did. And
Uh,
in a lot of different places just by training,
yeah, that was great because
cheering us on.
yeah, I can think of everybody. There was who am I thinking about? So he started with the cane.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. He started with the cane and then like he just kept passing us every day. And pretty soon we see him, no more cane.
Yeah.
How many pounds did he say he lost?
Oh, I don't know.
It was
He did
something
such a
big,
great
like 40,
job.
50, or
Yeah.
60 pounds. Like it was something. And then, towards the end of when we were training, all of a sudden he starts running around. And now this gentleman's 70 years old
Yeah.
too. Running around the park, and hopefully we'll see him again when we start training again.
Hopefully.
But all the people that were cheering us on, there was a couple couples down there. The lady with her dog that
Mm,
would say hi every day, and that asked, they knew that I was going to Fuji. They knew we were going to the
yeah.
canyon. They knew our whole story, and that made it a lot easier. But that training together, I think, built a greater bond too. And as I think it's Caleb that says, the person that goes in the canyon is not the person that goes out. And I would add to that, the couple that goes in the canyon is not the couple that comes out.
That's true.
Uh,
That's true.
we've always been pretty tight, but it's another level. I wish I could explain it to people. And I've tried over the past few months. Um, because we were just lockstep with one another throughout the whole thing.
Yep.
You know, we we never got upset with one another. We enjoyed people, and again, we had a great group
We
too.
did.
Just dumb stuff, stopping at the streams just to get some water on us. And there was one time we just you I think Brian, I can't remember who all was there from the pavement group at that time. We
Okay.
just dunked our feet in, took our shoes off and all that. That was a lot of fun. But speaking, you said something. I mean, it's as couples, I do think we need to speak truth into each other. But I think the other thing that it did for us, well, I don't think I know, is because when we got to that mile, that 3 mile shack or shanty, whatever, right? I'm all excited. I can see the top, and then it gets dark.
Yep.
And then it just seems like it goes, because you're like, where the heck are those lights coming from? There can't be coming from
Mhm.
where and it starts playing with your mind. I
Mhm.
remember coming in one switchback. There's only one way out,
Yeah.
right? I remember hitting one switchback and going, am I going the right direction?
Yeah.
Like it just started playing with my mind because I'm looking at you. I'm
When
like,
you're exhausted.
yeah, I mean, that was
There's a lot. There's just
that was
exhaustion.
probably hour 15
Oh, I don't even know.
where I actually I remember second guessing myself. I'm like, and then I was like laughed at myself. I'm like, it there's only one way here.
Oh,
But they were long. They were long switchbacks. And coming out of there and you know getting to say we made it together,
we did make it together.
and we got our picture taken there real quick. um I had a lot of energy then,
Oh,
um because some you have to go. You do have to sometimes go through the valley to get to the mountain, and that's much like our life has been. And
hmm.
I think I would encourage anybody, but especially couples, to go through that and experience something like, maybe not the canyon.
I just think experiences in general.
Yeah.
We've done so many things together, and I mean, that's our was our goal. I mean, we went together.
Mm-hmm.
We took our family together. We're that's the key to our kids' relationship. They're super close, and I don't know what they would do without each other, and they just it's because we've always done everything together. We don't do them separately. If at all possible, we're together, supporting each other. And that's kind of like a little tiny team. We looked at it as we went through. We were very intentional about creating this little team. And, we felt that even in the canyon, the kids had our location. They have our location all the time. We always know where each other is. They like that. And I mean, they're young adults. We have our son is married, and but we still have their location, and they could see where we were in the canyon, and they were awake. They stayed awake until we
Yeah.
got up there, and they were praying for us, and um it's like we just have this little team um that's really important to us. And I mean, that's how we're making it through every situation each day. We're cheering each other on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we both wake up in the morning and we're praying for our family, covering them, with that as soon as we get up in the morning. They're our team. It's more than family. I don't even know how to put it into words, but that's my world right there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was evident through doing that experience with the canyon.
Yeah, it was good because they were cheering on, checking in. Yeah,
Yeah.
once they knew we had cell service,
Yeah.
um, I talked to them quite a bit. You know, just as we could get the cell service, um, which was nice because they were cheering us on. I think they knew how difficult that was.
Yes, they
Um,
did.
so the
Yeah.
question is a couple questions that I'm thinking about. One, when I asked you this question, because you said you weren't going to do it again, but would you do it again, or
Right,
an
right,
experience like it?
right after it, I said, I think that was a one and done. Kind of like when we jumped out of an airplane, it was kind of a one and done for me. I enjoyed it, but I didn't need to do it again. And this one, now I'm like, I'm not sure. I may try it again. Just because I think I need to prove to myself that I hated that little struggle at the end. And I feel like I need to work a little harder. And maybe if I train a little bit harder and I can do it I could do it better than I did the first time through. So I think it's almost I need to prove to myself that I am healthy enough and I'm strong enough and I can handle it, to get through a little smoother. A little faster would be great. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I might need that goal for myself. We just finished our vision day, with our community and with our family, and we talked about you have to challenge yourself. You have to put some things out there and overcome fear. That's healthy. It actually makes us healthier when we do those things. And we always try to put those little pieces in our year that scare us, and we have a few this year.
Hmm.
Um, and I think maybe I need to do that again. I need to do it again.
And so the other question that I got asked a lot, especially, so even from some family members that just don't understand is, well, and some, we've gotten this question quite a bit. I mean, we've got this question when we brought our kids in to school them at home. Um, you know, why don't you punish your kids more often? They're going to turn out to be little hellions. Just I think everything. Why are you taking them with you? Why are you taking them on those experiences? Well, they didn't call them experience. Why are you taking them on those trips? Why would you? Uh, and I got that question too when I did. Well, after Fuji, after the can, it seems like I always get them from at least two or three people. Why do you go do that? So what is your answer to that? Why would somebody go do something where it's 120 degrees all day long?
Well, I think that's back to facing fear.
Mhm.
Like, I don't like to be fearful. I think after the stroke and the fear that I had, that I wouldn't make it. I mean, you go to sleep at night and you're like, and I had trouble with seizures at night, and I would wake up and not be able to move. And I mean, there's a lot of fear that played into that. There's a lot. And I just decided that I didn't want to be afraid of anything anymore. So, I mean, I guess that's how we look at everything. Like, I just go after it, and I'm intentional, and I do not want to be afraid. And I just face those things. And I think that's how we've raised the kids. Like, you can do this. Like, you don't be afraid. It's all right. Like, step into that fear and go after it. And, I think that's helped their success along the way. We don't discourage, we encourage always, that they can do absolutely anything they want to do. And, they do.
Yeah, and it was cool because I came back and I got to take my son and my daughter-in-law out to Columbus and watch them run the Columbus Marathon. And that was a big feat. They had trained very well for that,
They did.
and they both completed.
Yep.
We were with her parents were there too, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um,
And they had never done anything like that in their lives and never planned it. And just her goal that year, last year's Vision Day, was a 5K, which she's never run ever in her life. And she did a half marathon. Just phenomenal. I mean,
by herself
by
because
herself,
he did the
because he
full
did the full marathon. Yeah.
and she did that with some pretty serious shin splints.
Yeah, she was struggling.
You know,
Trouble with her feet and her
yeah,
shins. And that's a perfect example. Is they said, she said, I'm afraid of doing this. I don't think I can do it, but I'm going to try. I'm going to go after it. And they did. I mean, you got to step into that fear.
the only thing that happened with that is now they got me going.
I know
This
that's one
next
of
one.
that's a half marathon in Eric's future for
Yeah,
his
so,
that's on his vision board this
yeah,
year.
I was so excited for the kids. When they was running the Columbus marathon, uh, I was all geared up in basically a lot of my winter gear because it was pretty cold that day, and I didn't think I'd be running, but
Yeah.
because the Apple Watch tracks all that, I ended up running doing 10 miles that day. So I sort of just ran with her. I mean, I was so excited for them. Like, because every street I would cross to get to them, a couple I missed them, right?
Yeah.
And other ones I would get there and see them. And eh, at the end when Tony, our daughter-in-law, finished, right, I was so excited for her. I ran the whole last mile with her. I was just so proud of her for getting over that.
Yeah.
I mean, that again, I'm highlighting that because that's the why. Like
Yeah.
they did it together and made them stronger.
They
She
did.
immediately finished and said, "Where can we go and see Josiah?" And she and I went, got
Yeah.
got her warm a little bit, went over there and saw him, and just and then finished it out with him. And the other thing is we have good stories there. The why. Um, anytime I go on one of those trips, I get to be with, but I would say one of my best friends. I mean, Caleb, when we
Yeah,
went to Fuji, I mean, it was just raining sideways and cold, and we're there just laughing. And I don't think I'd been doing that like anywhere else, stuck out in the cold and rain.
true.
But and he kept saying, like, we're gonna have stories about this. We're gonna have, and here we are. I'm
Yeah,
still telling the story about it. But we have the story about it. The other thing is that we always go into to everything, even when we went on this past vacation as a family. It's like we're gonna make some friends. We're gonna build another community, right?
well, I
And
always lie. I joke because I'm the introvert of the family, and the rest of them are extroverted times 100. So they love to make friends
yeah.
and be around people, and it pulls me out of my shell. It does. It makes me step into that fear even of being around people like that. And
And
you
that
guys always make friends.
Yeah, and that was one of
Yeah.
my whys. I told you when I'm going on these trips,
Yep.
I'm like, I'm gonna find some people that are gonna be in that tighter circle. And I did. I mean, that was one of the highlights of my year, especially the canyon. That group of people that we went through with are amazing, and that was just an amazing group of folks. We're still, I was just with a few of them
This
this
morning.
morning. Uh, I wouldn't have had that had I not gone to stretch myself.
Right.
And they were doing it too. So they have that same experience. They
Yep.
know what it's like.
Yeah.
So when push comes to shove, I can count on them
Right.
maybe in that same valley. Because they've gone through it together. And they all reached the top. We were talking today, one of our highlights was at the end. I was talking to Paige, was one of the ones that went with us, and that was one of her highlights too. Do you remember when we all got out of the van? We were that last group,
They were waiting for us.
and they
Yeah.
were all waiting. Some of these folks had been out of the canyon for
Hours.
4 hours, I think. Um, and all of them. And I said, Paige, do you remember? Somebody was in their underwear. I remember that out of the corner of my head. I'm like, wow, this guy is like, he's really sold into everything and just the celebration of
Yeah.
that. Uh, but that's how you get to the mountain top, at least, right? You
Yeah.
have to go through the valley,
This is true.
right?
This is true.
Any last tips before we sign off here?
I just feel like you need to watch your inner voice. I think that is just such a huge um it's so huge in life in general. Just watching that inner voice and speaking that life into your family and the people around you and to be a blessing to other people. It's just that's huge. So
So then the last question I have for you before we sign off here is, are you coming back on the show?
I will probably be highly encouraged to come back on the show, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah.
Um,
If you'll
this is
push a little.
this has been very inspiring, and I know it helps a lot of people, and they always want to hear from you. They want to hear the other side, how we work together to raise our kids, marriage, all kind of, And again, we haven't done it perfect, but we learn and move on. Yeah, we have a lot of valley moments, but
We've also learned to give each other grace.
yeah, we
Yes,
also get a lot of mountain peak moments,
we do. Mhm.
and we have to go through that tough time sometimes to get to that. So
Right.
I hope you come back. I think you have a lot of wisdom to impart on everybody else because you're 50% of this team. Everybody thinks that I do all this stuff sometimes, and I'm like, no, that's not quite how it rolls. So I appreciate you. I love you
Thank
for
you.
being on
Love
here.
you too.
I'm glad we get to go through some valleys to get to that mountaintop. So, and
Journeying together.
continue to do that. So appreciate it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you didn't, you probably need to stop watching this channel. But that's all for today. If you want any more information, you can find us at centerforvictory.com. You can also find, we just launched some of the trips that we'll be taking this year. for leaders and folks. One is to Mount Kilimanjaro. One is to the Grand Canyon. That is the group that we will be going on as well, both of us, and then to Glacier up into Montana to see all our friends up there in Whitefish. So uh, tune in. If you want to, like I said, if you want more information, centerforvictory.com. And just remember, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, make this your best day yet. See you soon.